There are numerous and there are disturbing questions still left unanswered after the first attempt on Trump's life. The feds are still saying, I think, that Thomas Crooks's motives are unclear. What? And tonight, there are more questions after the latest attempt on his life. First, how did Mr. Ruth get into, a position for hours and hours unnoticed in the bushes? Did he do any dry runs in the bushes or anywhere else before Sunday morning? And are new protocols in place given the failure to secure that perimeter? And why was it up to a vigilant citizen to snap that photo of Mr. Ruth's license plate? Where were the drones? Was there any infrared technology used? If not, why not? The public deserves an expeditious inquiry. Real answers, not foot dragging, which only spurs, as we know, more conspiracy theories. But who can blame Trump supporters for, distrusting the feds at this point, especially given how much the FBI knew about this suspect before we all even learned his name? Going back to 2019.
He was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm. In following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it okay. Then just last year, the FBI was tipped off again. The Wall Street Journal tells us that Ruth acted so erratically while in Ukraine, other Americans reported him. This included a woman who said his threats of violence worried her so much that she spent an hour with a Customs and Border Protection officer and filed a report with the FBI and Interpol. The woman said that he talked about wanting to kill Putin and Kim Jong-un and that he mentioned Trump and Biden, but she couldn't remember if there were specific threats. Let's discuss this with Rich Staropoli, former Secret Service agent. Rich, did the feds drop the ball here?
Yeah, absolutely, they dropped the ball once again. And this is the reason why local law enforcement for years has a tremendous distrust and, quite frankly, hates the FBI. What did they do here? They went out, they interviewed this guy, they closed the case, they put it on a shelf. How about calling the Secret Service? How about notifying local law enforcement for some follow-up? Yet, wasn't done. This is another blatant case where the FBI is supposed to be sharing information, but wasn't. Unfortunately, because of the incidents, the last two Trump incidents, now the Secret Service is in the same position as the FBI. The level of distrust and hatred by local law enforcement for the Secret Service has compounded the problem and has made it exponentially more difficult for the Secret Service to do their job.
In Flint, Michigan, tonight, the president just addressed this. Let's watch.
It's a dangerous business, however, being president. It's a little bit dangerous. It's, they think race car driving is dangerous. No. They think bull riding, that's pretty scary, right? No. This is a dangerous business, and we have to keep it safe.
Well, I think as we know, the Secret Service did have a conversation with former President Trump, did discuss giving him the resources that he needs to stay safe. I think they're trying to paper over what most people are very concerned about tonight, watching him in public at all.
Yeah, he describes it as the most dangerous business, a very dangerous business. It shouldn't be. This is why the Secret Service exists. Yet somewhere along the line, they've allowed their own personal political feelings to permeate the senior-most levels of the Secret Service, and that has made its way down to the level of the field agents. The Secret Service is broken. They are not doing their job. I've taken President Clinton to Pakistan. We've taken President Bush to Iraq, real war zones where there's a real threat of a terrorist attack. Yet you're telling me the Secret Service, with a $4 billion budget and 7,000 employees, can't predict and can't pre-post an event that's going to happen on a golf course that the president not only owns, but has been golfing on every Sunday for the last 20 years.
Rich, Rich, one thing that I'm still trying to wrap my mind around, maybe I'm not an expert on this, but it's a kind of a common sense question. Why are they still not sure what the motive of Thomas Crooks was, who actually got shots off? They're saying we don't, it's unclear. The motive of this guy's, it's not clear what his motive is. That just seems, that smells to high heaven.
Smells to high heaven isn't the word for it. Let's add in the fact that you disposed of the body way too quickly. You contaminated that crime scene. And quite simply, has any Secret Service agent even interviewed the family? What's going on here? They have left totally unresolved questions and have fed into conspiracy theories that we will be talking about 50 and 60 years from now. This could have all been avoided if the acting director simply would have stepped in front of the cameras right from the outset. But they don't do it. They hide behind the administration, just like that empty suit Alejandro Mayorkas and what we're seeing with Karine Jean-Pierre. The minute you press these people on it, what do? They fold up their book and they walk away because they feign indignance. And we're the bad guys for asking these most basic questions. They're not doing the job.
I warned them if they didn't have clear answers expeditiously, it would feed a terrible narrative for this country. Forget this election, which is critical. Right. The whole country, this is terrible for. Rich, love having you on. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.